So, good day. I'm Dr. Michael Hartley. I am a business educator and a business owner. I opened my very first business in 2007, and I had no idea what I was doing in building a business. I kind of failed miserably, to be honest with you. I was a video production company. I was really good at doing the job of the business and really bad at actually building a business. If you read the book by Michael Gerber, the E-Myth or the E-Myth Revisited, he talks about how so many business owners are the technician in the business. And what we actually want to do is we want to be the business owner. And so going through today's webinar, we're going to do a few things. First goal is to teach you the structured steps in building a business that can run without you. The second goal is to walk you through the 5 different areas to increase your profit, to prepare yourself to grow your business profitably and in a healthy way, because most business owners are looking at the wrong areas of their business. And then the third thing is to give you an offer. You've dedicated your time, and one of my mentors puts it this way: we can always get other things. We can get more money, we can get more friends, we can get more team. The one thing we can't get is more time. We can't pause it, rewind it. So I don't believe in time management. It's about self-mastery. And so by dedicating your time with me today, at the end, I'm going to give you a free offer. And for those that are ready to take action, you're going to actually be able to take a next step and learn some more from us for free. So without any further ado, let's get started. So that first business I built, it quite literally put me homeless for about 6 months. It took my life away. And I quickly realized that that's not why I had decided to build a business. I built a business, or was attempting to, in an effort to give me more life. And unfortunately, it took everything away from me. I allowed it to take everything away from me. I got to take ownership of it. And I started to reach out to mentors to start to guide me. And I had 2 specific ones. And through their guidance, I started to really learn how to build a business. Eventually built that up to be pretty successful. And then opened up a consulting firm a few years later, about 2012, with 4 other individuals. And we built that business from nothing to about $200 million in 5 years. And from 5 of us to, well, there's a lot of us at the end there, in multiple different countries. And once you learn how to build a business, once you learn how to build profitability, once you learn how to take steps out of the business so it can start to run without you, the beautiful thing about all of it is you can then rinse and repeat it over and over and over again in any number of businesses that you so choose. And that's what I had done. I had learned how to build a business, and then I had started to build that one. And I was traveling all over the world. And about midway through 2017, I realized that I was traveling way too much. And I was traveling because my clients dictated it. I was like, I want to travel when I want to travel, not when others tell me I have to travel. And so I exited that business at the end of 2017 and started this one. And the purpose of this was to do for others what others had done for me, teaching how to actually build an entity, a profitable asset that can ultimately run without you. And that's our definition of a business, is a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. So to get us started, really important question. I need your permission. Can I be your coach for the next 1 to 2 hours? Because we remove this phrase called I know. And for this to be beneficial for you, you got to give me permission to actually teach you, to guide you. And so if you're not willing to do that, this is a waste of your time. So I would just click off. For those that you're like, yeah, absolutely, let's dive in. Our purpose is to reward your time investment with simple, fast, easy ways to identify ways to pivot in your business, to increase sales and client retentions, and ultimately make better use of your time. A little bit about learning as we go through the next couple hours. We have one side of the brain. The left side of the brain is the words, math, and logic, and process and detail side of the brain. And the right side is more the creative. It's the art, the music, the feelings, and big picture. Well, our goal through learning, and I don't teach, you learn. The goal here is that we engage both sides of your brain, which oftentimes can create confusion. So with wherever you're at right now, if you were to look at this, you were to say, okay, I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to take 30 seconds, and I'm going to read the color of the words, not the actual words themselves. So instead of being red, blue, gray, brown, pink, it would be yellow, green, red, black, blue. Take a moment and do that real quick. Once you do that, then you can go back through and actually just read the words: red, blue, gray, brown, pink, black, green, purple, yellow, red, orange, green, and orange. What's happening in that first pass when you're just trying to call out the colors of the words, not the text itself, is confusion taking place in the brain, because again, you're engaging both sides. That's what we're talking about here. The purpose of today is for you to engage both sides of your brain. So if you're not ready already, get something where you can take some notes, because we're going to be diving into a lot of detail today over the next couple hours, whether that be written or typed, whatever it might be prepared. So I mentioned earlier that I had to take ownership of my first business absolutely failing. It's because we have this thing called the point of power, where below the point, it's blame, excuses, and denial. And you think about how many businesses operate as an entire entity below the point, where, I'll give you an example. So, we're here in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas traffic, the roads were not built for the scaling of the city, the growth of the city. The roads are just simply not made for it. In fact, if you talk to people who have been here for a while, or even on like city council, those type of things, they'll tell you the thought behind Austin was, well, if we don't build it, they won't come. And unfortunately, they didn't build it, and people still showed up. And so you show up late somewhere, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, traffic was bad. What are we doing? We're blaming traffic. We're finding an excuse versus staying above the point. Ownership, accountability, responsibility, where it's, you know what? I didn't plan for traffic properly. I didn't leave early enough. That's on me. That's a simple example. And yet you think about, how does a business feel when you work with people who are below the point versus how does a business feel when you work with people above the point? Your opportunity over the next few hours, at least with me, and I'll tell you, for those that coach with us, this is a mandated rule. Call us out on it. We're going to call you out on it. We must collectively operate above the point. So at least when you're with me, we're going to operate above the point. The next rule of the game for the next couple hours is going to be removing the I know attitude. I have a couple kids, and my 12-year-old is my middle one. And I'm out of being like the cool dad phase, and all of a sudden I'm the annoying dad at that age. And, I get this all the time. Yeah, Dad, I know. Yeah, I'm like, hey, did you get the dishes clean? Yeah, I know I'm supposed to. I know. What does someone communicate to you when all they're telling you is, yeah, I know. Well, what they're communicating to you is that they want this conversation done. And instead of allowing the conversation to be done, when we do that, if we're communicating that to others, what we want instead isn't that interesting. You see, saying I know, I may be teaching you a lot of things that you know until you don't. And if you're sitting there going, yeah, I know all this, Hartley. I know this, Doc. You're closing your brain off to potentially learning something that you may not. Right? You're going to know everything until you don't. So instead we say things like, isn't that interesting? It keeps our brain open to potentially learning something. And along the way, this is especially true in business, we got to have some fun. Business ownership ought to be fun. So many business owners are stressed and filled with anxiety and anxiousness and overwhelming feelings. I have a rule. If we're not having fun, we're doing the wrong thing, or we're doing it the wrong way. It's that straightforward. So if you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, I'm not having fun, we're doing the wrong thing, or we're doing it in the wrong way. Business ownership ought to be fun. Management ought to be fun. Sales ought to be fun. Marketing ought to be fun. Operations definitely ought to be fun. Finances ought to be fun. If we're not having fun, we're doing the wrong thing, or we're doing it the wrong way. So let's identify your BFOs. BFO stands for blinding flashes of the obvious. These are your aha moments throughout a training, throughout a course. And it's 2 points in the brain making a new connection. When you have 2 points in your brain making a new connection, that's a BFO. And I'll give you one more thing on advice in learning. We use lots of colors because words, when you're typing or when you're writing, words are short-term memory. Pictures are long-term memory, going back to the left and right side of the brain. So what we want to do here is we want to use different colors when you're taking your notes. It allows your brain to turn these words into pictures and recall the knowledge longer. So I would recommend having a BFO color, your aha moment, your top takeaway color. So that way, when you skim read through your notes after today, any day in the future, you can quickly call those things out. And at the end, I'm going to make sure that you go through your notes and type or write them out, highlight which ones they are. Most people only ever own a job. And unfortunately, when you're the technician in the business, you're the one doing 90% of the work, you're just over broke. It's a sad reality to business ownership. There's a reason why 85% of businesses fail in the first 5 years and 90% of businesses fail in the first 10. People think once they hit year 5, they're home free. No, there's another 5% getting up to 90% that are still going to fail in the next 5. There's a reason why only 4% of businesses in the US only make it to $1 million in top line revenue. So if you're sitting here and you're doing 7 figures, you're in the top 4%. Congratulations. Now, ideally, you see that translate into bottom line profit. With that said, though, we want you to have a business that is not just over broke. Because what happens is when we have a job, it turns into burnout. Number one reason for business failure is burnout. Tied to that is lack of cash, poor financial mastery. So again, going through today's course, the purpose of this is to give you the tools and resources so that way that's not you. So that way you can sit here and go, yep, no longer just over broke. We're going to make sure that we get something more substantial, a business that can actually work without us. Because at the end of the day, that's our definition, a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. Your business in the next 5 years ought to completely be running without you. And that's all it takes. On average, it takes about 8 to 10 years. I can tell you our clients, when they work with us, because we have a really structured methodology that we're going through today, it takes them 3 to 5. We kind of cut that in half, which is kind of fun, right? People come to us after 3 years and they go, hey, I think I'm graduating. I'm like, yeah, you are. You know, sometimes we're going to coach their GMs or things like that, but their businesses, we have a client that Lily at our member event last month was like, yeah, this is my last one, guys. I'm done. I graduated. I work an hour a week in my business. When I first started with Action Coach 3 years ago, she goes, I was making 30,000 a month. Now I'm making 30,000 a week. I was working 40 hours a week. Now I'm working 1 hour a week. Life is pretty good. I've graduated. That's the goal, is to get a commercial profitable enterprise that can work and run without you. To get there, I've told you a couple of times, we have a very structured methodology. This is the methodology. This is the path to get you where you want to be. The first step is called mastery. The purpose of mastery is to eliminate chaos. We start by reducing it and then ultimately eliminating it. From there, we're going to focus on profit. And that's where niche kicks in. So we've built some stability into the organization. Now we're going to go increase your predictable cash flow. Niche is kind of the marketing and sales wing of the business. From there, we've now added cash, so we can now focus on efficiency, leverage, and systems in the business. Once we've increased efficiency, we're now starting to give you time back in your business, actually more time back in your life. And so now we can focus on your team and structured growth. Once we get your team locked in, you see, we reduce the chaos. We then get profitable as much as possible. We then increase efficiency. So now when we go get the team, we can put them right into all of those things. Now we can focus on getting you a general manager or a VP, a CEO potentially. And we look at scale. That's really what synergy is. Synergy is scalability, where you can look at this and go, yep, I'm good with just 1 location, or I want 10 locations, or you know what? I've built this business where it can work without me. Now I want to go build 3 others. Because again, once you've gone through each of these steps once, you can go duplicate in any other business. It's the beautiful thing about it. And now we can get you to passive income where you're not working and you just keep getting dividend checks every single week or every single month or every single quarter, depending how you structure it. That's how we get you the massive results that you're looking for. And again, on average, it takes a business 8 to 10 years to get there, and if you think back to what I said earlier, only 10% of businesses make it to year 10. So not only is it going to take on average a business 8 to 10 years to get there, only 10% are going to make it. This is why when we coach and teach, we look to shorten that to 3 to 5 years, because we increase the business's likelihood of being crazy successful, not just successful, crazy successful, and the business is working without the owner. So these are the 6 steps. We're going to dive into each of these in detail today. So when we look at our coaching system, we have the 6 steps. And then when we get into niche, we're going to have the 5 ways that's kind of there on the left-hand side. When we get into leverage the systems wing of the business, we have the 4 ways, which is kind of that right side. We have 9 things that we're going to go through before we get to those 4 basic buckets of systems. Again, business ownership ought to be fun. And when you understand that there's just a formula to follow, you have to do the work, but when you do the work, you get the results. It's pretty freaking cool. So first step, mastery, from chaos to control. Going back to our full definition of a business, a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. Mastery, we have a commercial enterprise. It's just in existence. That's all it is at this point. Mastery, there's 4 areas of mastery. The first one is going to be destination. Where are we taking this business? What's the destination point? And I can tell you, when you work with us, the first thing we ask you is to tell us the date, not the year, not just the month, the actual day. What's the day that your business is going to work without you? What does it look like? What's the org chart? What's profitability? What's the team size? You got to have clarity on where you're going. Once we have destination in place, and we have a whole thing called an alignment. I was talking with a business owner earlier this week, last week, and we were talking about how he has 2 other business partners, and he is about 30 years younger than the other 2. They're in their 70s. And he's like, yeah, their destination is very different than mine. I was like, well, we have this thing called alignment where we sit down with you and your significant others. He's like, oh, that sounds dangerous. I'm like, that's the whole purpose. We sit down with all of you, so it'd be the 6 of you, and we have a 4-hour session that's all dedicated on where are you going? At what point do you exit this business? Because their answer is going to be very different than yours. Their growth focus is very different than yours, because you have way more years that you're probably going to be working here, owning it at least. It's interesting. So many business owners don't actually have clearly written, articulated destination points of where this business is going. You may have when you first opened it, and then you get into the chaos of the business and it's like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. So we got to know where we're going. Then we get into money mastery. Financial mastery, again, is tied to burnout, and it's the number 1 cause of business failure. And it's what causes, and oftentimes money mastery, or the lack of it, is what causes chaos in the business. So if we don't know where we're going and we don't have financial mastery underway, our business is going to be in chaos because we don't know where we're going and we don't know our numbers very well. So as an example, what's the cost of chaos? And if you're taking your notes, I'm going to ask that you take a moment and you go, what's the cost of chaos in my business? So wherever chaos you find in your business, take a moment and go through your notes and go, okay, where's chaos in my business? I can tell you that studies show small business owners and their families repeatedly demonstrate poor financial management. It's the leading cause for business failure, underperformance. And unfortunately, it then trickles into the family. I tell you, we sat down with a family-run business. It's a dad and 2 sons, and they're doing a couple million a year. They have been for a while. Unfortunately, they have like a 0.5% of profit. They have very poor financial mastery. I'm like, man, y'all are just getting busy to be busy. You're not actually making any money, and it's causing strife in the family and all sorts of stuff. It's just ugly. It causes chaos in a business. So we got to understand how to look at our numbers. We got to have the 3 financial report cards plus a budget, the P&L, balance sheet, cash flow statement, budget. We got to have these 4 documents that we're looking at every single week and understanding these numbers, because ultimately business every single week should be increasing profitability. So you think about what's the opposite from chaos to control. Shrewd financial management is the key to running a successful business. Again, you got to be looking at these numbers every single week, for some daily. You must know how to collect, track, save, and spend your money. In fact, are you in the habit of having money? It's a habit. Some people are not. Some people are. It's also why you ought to have 3. You ought to have 3 bank accounts for your business. So when we look at your business, you ought to have 3 bank accounts. The first one's going to be your ops account. Your operations account is where all the money comes in and out, right? So sales money come in, all your expenses and payroll and all that, that's where the money goes out. The second big account is going to be your tax account. So every single quarter, you look at how much, or every single month, what do you believe business taxes are going to be? You move money into the tax account. And then the third one's your profit account. And every single month, because business owners, you pay yourself first, which means that as soon as you finish the month, whatever percent of profit you're determining, it goes into the profit account. So whether, I'm going to put 10% of profit, 50% of profit, 100% of profit, whatever that number is, you're going to move that into your profit account. And that's where you're going to take your dividends from and things like that. So you got to have shrewd financial mastery. You got to understand your numbers. You got to understand what are the KPIs in financial mastery and all those type of things. We have a 12-week course just for founders that's focusing on understanding these type of numbers because it's just not really taught all that well. In fact, I have a doctorate in business strategy and innovation. And even at the doctorate level, they don't teach you how to run a business. They teach you how to run other people's businesses. They don't necessarily teach you how to run yours. And so we created a whole founders program just for business owners. So that way you can understand how to properly build and run your business. In fact, we go through these 6 steps in extreme detail. So financial mastery is a must-have. We got to go from chaos to control. From there, we're going to get to the next section of mastery. So we have destination, we have financial mastery, and we got to get to budgeting and reporting, right? So when we look at budgeting and reporting, what does that look like? Well, what's our break even? What's our profit? If you look at the red line, that's fixed costs. So you got to know what your fixed costs are. And fixed costs ought to be fixed, so it's the same every single month, or unless you add to fixed costs and then it increases. But you got to know what your fixed cost is. That's the red line. Then you're going to look at revenue. That's the blue line. It starts at 0, and then it increases every single week, ideally. And then we look at your variable costs, which is the purple one. Again, variable are normally based on sales, so you wouldn't have these expenses if you didn't have sales. So fixed costs are phone, rent, those type of things. Variable might be gas or material costs, things like that. That starts at 0 and it increases, which then you take the red and the purple and that gives us the yellow one, which is your total costs. And now you have that line. And where your revenue meets the yellow line, which is total cost, that gives you your break-even point. Everything north of that now is your profit. And you want to know when in the month are you break even. You see, if you're breaking even on day 24, you don't have a great business. If you're breaking even on day 10, it's a little healthier because that means the rest of the month's all profit. We got to know what your break even is. So that way we can know when your profit hits. And then we can sit down with you and actually guide you on how to increase your break even. Actually decrease your break even, increase your profitability, right? Decrease the time it takes you to get to break even. And we're going to go through 5 ways on how to get there today. So destination, where are we going? Money mastery, got to know your numbers. Time mastery. Again, this is the one thing we can't get more of. What does time mastery look like? I'll give you an example here. So time mastery. When the very first thing that we do when we sit down with a business owner, the first thing when they enroll is we focus on time mastery because it's the one thing you can't get more of. And normally it's the first thing that sucks in a business is time allocation is not properly placed. And similar to if you walk into a business and the owner happens to be there, especially if it's retail or something like that, who's the one person in the business that's most likely to give a discount? The owner. Same thing with time. You see an employee can sit and go, okay, here's my time blocking for the day. And they're going to mostly stick to it unless their boss tells them to do something different. An owner normally just goes, oh, well, this is more important. Or, I just need to go do this today. And they don't ever stick to an actual proper default calendar. And so if we translate that into dollars, if you had to sit here and go, how many hours a week do you think that you're wasting? People say they want business coaches. They like the results of the business coach. They don't like the questions in the process to get to the results sometimes. How many hours a week are you wasting? Be honest with yourself. And then if we say, what's your time worth? To figure out an owner's time, you take total top line revenue, divide it by 2,000 hours. On average, and business owners are going to work about 2,000 hours a year. So take your total revenue, divide total sales for the year, divide that by 2,000. That tells you what your hours really worth to the business. And then you go, okay, so that's what my hours worth. Let's say you're $1 million organization. You've made it to the threshold of the top 4%. Now I'm going to divide that by the 2,000. Your hour's worth $500. And now let's say you're wasting 2 hours a week, 5 hours a week, an hour a day is getting wasted. So times 5 times 48 working weeks out of the year, it's 120 grand in your time that's being wasted. Now you do that with your team and things like that, and you can start to see how the compound unfortunate effect is the negative on this and how much money is being wasted in the organization. Time mastery is the first thing that we're going to focus on, because without it, we can't get results. This is why it takes 8 to 10 years for a business on average to work without the owner instead of 3 to 5, because time mastery and financial shrewdness are not properly in place. So we got to get mastery done well in the business. So destination, where are we going? Money mastery, break even, understanding your budget, those type of things. Time mastery. So a little bit further on time mastery, if we take a look at this, you can see, actually, let's go back here. So before time mastery, what we're going to do here is we then get to delivery. And as the business scales, we need to readjust our delivery mastery. Because again, if it's just you in the business right now, then delivery mastery ought to be relatively high because it's your business, you're the expert in it, you're the technician in the business. As you start to hire others to do the work, we need to have systems in place and delivery mastery needs to stay high. So these are the 4 areas to reduce and ultimately eliminate chaos in your business. So destination, it's no use going out and building a business if you have no idea where you're going. It gives you clarity. Clarity plus action is going to give you success. Define what you actually want. Stop focusing on what you're running away from. Start focusing on what you're running towards. There's 3 levels of goals: the run away from goal, the run towards goal, and the legacy goal. Most people get stuck in what they're running away from. I don't want to be broke. I don't want this. I don't want to be fat. I don't want. Instead of going, what am I running towards? I desire to be wealthy. I desire to live a life worth meaning. I desire to have fun every single day and laugh at least one thing every single day. I'm running towards fill in the blank. And then you get to the third one, which is even fewer people get to this point in life where their goals are legacy. What are we leaving behind? So we got to know our destination. Because once we know that, then we can actually go create a business plan. We can go through the alignment process and understand where we're at today and where we want to go. And then we can actually create a proper plan now. Money mastery. Not only do you need to know your historic numbers, but you need to know the ones that are going to create your future. Too many business owners have no ability to make decisions due to a lack of actual information. They say that 80% of marketing doesn't work. The problem is when you think about 80% of marketing doesn't work, 20% does. Most business owners don't actually know what the 20% is that is working for them. So we got to know our numbers. If we want to manage something, we have to measure it. I'm going to go pause on that for a moment. What gets measured can be managed. And what is managed, A, gets done repeatedly, and B, improves over time. So we're going to turn these things into measurements that we can now go manage. Put KPIs, key performance indicators, in place. This is true for both accounting and all of your testing and measuring. In fact, I tell our clients all the time, I'm like, you're going to get the tattoo on the shoulder that says test and measure, T&M, because everything must be tested and measured. We don't throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. It's the worst. So that's the worst way to build a business. And you then end up with chaos and wasting time and money and all those kind of things. Instead, we're going to test and measure. Everything must give you data, because with that data, you can go do something with it. From there, we get to time mastery. And we're going to look at you and your team's time and building productivity and efficiency. On top of that, you want to coach your team on urgency and timeliness. Focus on the high priority tasks. Simple things like invoices sent on time, knowing your actual KPIs, your cash flow numbers. What day of the month do your expenses hit? So that way you can properly plan out your cash flow. Focusing on high productivity and activity is the outcome of proper self-management and time mastery. Take this one step further. So if you were to leave this class today, if you were to go and say, I'm going to look at all the different things I put my time towards. In fact, I'm going to do a time study this next week. And in that time study, I'm going to put everything into a bucket. Maybe it's 4 buckets, maybe it's 15 different buckets, whatever that may look for you. Where's my time going? What percentage of would you find in the not urgent and not important stuff, which can really be called distraction? You want ultimately less than 10% of your time going into this distraction focus. It's not urgent. It's not important. From there, we get to urgent, not important. This is called delusion, because people feel like it's important just because it's urgent, and yet it's not actually important. Again, we want to keep that to less than 10%. Where we want the majority of your time going is these next 2 areas, which is urgent and important. That's the demand. That's where the large majority, 60 to 80% of your time really needs to be going, is this demand. And then when we talk about building a business that runs without you, we call about the zone. And that's the not urgent, but important zone. That's where 10 to 20% of your time needs to go. We talk about with our clients on the business versus working in the business, 1 hour a day. When you dedicate 1 hour a day to working on your business versus in your business with the right structure and methodology, with the right plan, your business will work without you within the next 5 years. It's that straightforward. So that's the working on the zone, right? The hour a day type stuff. So that's mastery, those 4 areas. We got to do those 4 to reduce the chaos in the business. Then we get to niche. This is the marketing sales wing of the business. So niche is having a commercial profitable now enterprise. So before it was just a commercial enterprise. Now we're going to get into a commercial profitable enterprise. This is my favorite part of a business, because other than scaling it, because this is where we increase all the profitability. So our definition of niche is no price competition. Anyone can race to the bottom. Anyone is able to go, you know what? I'm going to be the cheapest. Nope, stop doing that. Because anyone can do it. It doesn't make you unique. And unfortunately, for those that do focus on being the cheapest, what do they attract? They attract price shoppers, price buyers. And as soon as someone finds someone who's cheaper, they're gone. So you have no loyalty, because people just want the cheapest price. It's more difficult to actually build a scalable business that way. You really have to be the Walmart type process, type business, type model to do that properly. And I don't think we're going to go be competing with them. So we need no price competition. Beyond that, what does that mean? Well, we need to understand what makes us unique. To not compete on price, what makes your business unique? And by the way, not only does price not make you unique, customer service also doesn't make you unique. So every year I test out a new dentist. And every time, because of what I do, I like to ask like the lead dentist or the owner, like, hey, can I talk to him, her, him, whatever it might be for 5 minutes? And I ask one question: what makes your business unique? So far, 100% of the time, quite literally 100% of the time, I've got the same answer: how we treat our customers. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't make you unique when everybody else is also saying it. And also, everyone else is treating their customers well too, their patients, their guests, their subscribers. Because in today's environment, if you're not having great customer service, you will go out of business. Great customer service is the key to even being allowed to have a business. Otherwise, you're not going to have one. So it can't make you unique. So We have a whole USP and guarantee questionnaire system that we take our clients through to help them understand what makes them truly unique in this sea of competition. We got to understand what makes your business unique. And then we can test it out, turn it into a single line or phrase that can be used over and over and over again. Like Domino's, you think about it, they had the we guarantee your pizza in 30 minutes or it's free. Unfortunately, they had to change it because they were having a whole bunch of drivers get in accidents and tickets and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, okay, that was a good thought, and it ended up being negative for the business. So they've actually, if you look at them, they're one of the best at this because they test out different uniquenesses almost every 2 years. Almost every 2 years, Domino's comes out with their next USP, unique selling proposition, unique selling point. It's fascinating. They're really good at it. So what makes you unique and helps you stand apart in the sea of competition that you have? Creating your niche. Most of the time, oftentimes it's going to have some level of a guarantee tied to it. And this is not, to be clear, this is not a money back guarantee. This is a value added guarantee. Oftentimes it's going to be multiple points of a guarantee and those type of things. So you start thinking through, what can you guarantee? What are the biggest pain points your clients have? How can you make it that your USP? Those type of things. Guarantees, you're dealing with customer key frustrations. Plumbers are a great one, as an example. You see, no one really, like if you have to Google plumber, life isn't so fun that day, right? Like something's going on and it needs to be dealt with. No one really likes to Google plumbers because it's just not fun. Well, when you do that, if they're all the same price, one has a guarantee. I guarantee to show up on time, to leave your house cleaner than I found it, as an example. And the others don't. And they're all the same price. Who's the plumber you're at least going to give a first attempt with? You're going to give them the first go. That's why having these type of things are so critically important. Interestingly enough, most countries, and especially in certain industries, they require you to repair and replace certain things. So why not promote the fact that you guarantee it? There have been a couple businesses in different industries that do this. And I've talked to, like, especially in like attorneys or CPAs, and they're like, look, we all have to do that. I'm like, yeah, they made it a guarantee, which means that now you can't. They were first to market with it. And they're like, well, yeah, but we have to do it anyways. Yeah, you do. Make that your uniqueness. You have to do it anyways. You get to set the rules of the guarantee. Most business owners are like scared of setting a guarantee. Guess what? You get to set the rules of it. So there's that. And then you got to make sure that you can deliver on it. Again, we have a whole system that helps business owners identify what that looks like for their business. And we have a 17-week guarantee. So for those that we do education, like business education, we do it in different areas of business. We do it through marketing. We do different workshops, but we have a 12-week management course and a 12-week sales course and a 12-week founders course. That's the education side of what we do. And then we have the coaching side, where we are as certified coaches with business owners. And we have a 17-week guarantee. If coaching's not paying for itself within 17 weeks, we're going to coach you for free until it does. It's that straightforward. We have to be an investment for your business as coaches. So what's your guarantee really look like? I'll give you an example here. So this is obviously from a few years back. We bring customers to you through your website. We build it, you sell it. If you were to make a phone call or go to their website, what's the first thing you're looking for? Well, honestly, you're going to be asking for what's the price. In that ad, you're looking at it and going, what's the price? Because it's built in a way that you're going to ask that question. Now, let me give you a different example. 5 questions you should ask before hiring a web design company. Will you give me all my money back? Now, again, I don't believe in money back guarantees personally, but this one did. All your money back if you don't like the website. Yes. Will you guarantee to keep my website at the top of search engines? You can see they have a 5-point guarantee, 4-point guarantee, and then how long they've been in business. And then they give a very clear offer for a free website analysis. So if you're calling them, you're going to take that CTA, that call to action. You're going to go, hey, I want the free website analysis. I like the fact that you guarantee these things, because honestly, if you have a proper guarantee in place, you're removing yourself from competing on price. This ad made this business over $14,000 in 1.5 months. Where before, this business was wasting about 10 grand in ads a month. So they went from spending 10 grand and not making a single penny off of it to investing 10,000 and then making 14. You can do that all day. Again, that's why we got to know our numbers. So, marketing leverage. In my last business, I was fortunate to have clients that were all luxury automotive and luxury hotels. So Audi was a client, Lexus, Maserati, Porsche, you name it. If it was other than BMW, pretty much everyone other than BMW was a client of mine in my last business, which is why I was traveling all over the place and got kind of tired of traveling all over the place. I was like, I want to be able to build a business where I don't have to do that. And I got the chance to learn this when working with Audi. So when we look at these two cars, you have the Volkswagen Golf and you have the Audi R8. These two cars, there's $100,000 difference between these two cars. And yet they are built on the same chassis. Well, business is the exact same way. A business that's doing $5,000 a month is built on the exact same chassis as a business that's doing $50,000 a month. We just got to know what that chassis is and how to use it. So if you only get one thing out of this entire webinar, this next section is the section to pay attention to. You only get one thing out of this entire couple hours together, this is the section that you need to walk away with, because this is the business chassis. This is what's going to make you tons of profit. Okay. So I told you before, we're going to get you tattooed with the words test and measure, because everything must be tested and measured, especially when we're talking about increasing your profit. So let me explain. Most business owners, when I talk to them, they can tell me, I'm like, hey, what's the health of your business? They tell me like, look, here's how many customers I have, or how much revenue and sales I had top line, or potentially how much profit I had. Most business owners can tell me that. Unfortunately, those are the least important numbers. To get you proper results, we got to focus on 5 areas: the chassis to marketing and profitability growth. So this is the formula. Take a screenshot of this, put it in your notes. This is the chassis of business that's going to make you cash. Tons of profit. Now, okay, profit's different than cash. I get that. With that said, though, profit's theory, cash is fact. With that said, this increases your profit, which gives you the opportunity to have more cash. And if that statement doesn't make sense, reach out to us and I'll walk you through why there's a difference between profit and cash, and why profit's theory and cash is fact. It goes back to financial mastery and understanding your numbers. So if we look at this is an actual example of one of our past clients. The numbers are rounded just because, math. So this business in a year, so we're looking at a 12-month period of time, had 4,000 leads, 4,000 leads. So marketing, lead generation, marketing brought in 4,000 leads for the year. Conversion rate, so if leads are marketing, conversion rate is sales. Their conversion rate was 25%. So 4,000 leads, 25% sales conversion rate gave them 1,000 customers, clients, guests, subscribers, however you classify your customers. They had 1,000 of them, again, for the year. Number of transactions. This is not total transactions. What we're talking about here is repeat business, okay? So leads, that's marketing, conversion rate to sales. Then we get to number of transactions. And this is repeat business. On average, how often are your customers coming back? And I want to pause here for a moment, because subscription-based models are becoming very prevalent, which is a really good thing. And if you don't have a subscription-based option in your business, talk to us, because I'll tell you, when you do, you instantly increase the value of your business. Instantly. So ask us how you could do it in your business and we'll guide you through it. Number of transactions is repeat business. And for subscription-based businesses, that would be one transaction. So if you have a business model where it's, it's a monthly thing for a year, whatever it is, that's one transaction. We would be looking at what are additional transactions that could take place with customers. This is where the gaming industry crushes it, where they have all sorts of ways where you can buy upgrades or skins or whatever it might be for your characters. The gaming industry crushes the repeat transaction because they get people to come every single month, and then they have all these add-ons. I'll give you an example here. So number of transactions is, and then average sale. So number of transactions is where the single easiest way to get your customers to come back is simply just ask them. How often are you reaching out to your past clients, your past customers? I'll give you the simplest system. Again, we want to everything that we coach through is a systems-based approach, because systems create efficiency and leverage, and that creates a business that can ultimately run without you. So everything that we coach through is a system and teach through. So a system for asking customers to come back. In the English alphabet, there are 26 letters. Every quarter of the year, there are 13 weeks. So 13 weeks, 13 times 2 would be the 26 letters in the English alphabet. So every week, what happens is you're reaching out to a section of your past clients. Week 1 of every quarter, A and B, whether it be business name or last name, you're reaching out to everyone A and B. Then you go to C and D. By the time you get to week 13, you're going through anyone that has a business or a last name that starts with Y or Z. And then the very next week is week 1 of the next quarter. You kick back into A and B. That way, every quarter, you're reaching out to all of your past customers and clients at least once. And this is not some mass email. This is something personalized to them. Was talking with, we were teaching this to some realtors. We had an audience of realtors and car salesmen, because we have different sales courses that we do. And so we were doing one, and we had kind of an audience that had both of these a couple years back. And I get the question, and I was like, well, hold on. Someone only buys a house on average every 7 years here. And then the car people were like, yeah, people only, get a car every 3 to 5 years here on average. I'm like, cool. So how much is it going to cost you to reach out once a quarter to all of them? To reach out 4 times a year. I'm like, let's even say that you actually hand wrote a note to them and mailed it. So there's an actual physical cost. Like, that's probably like $1. So $4 a year? Yes. So I'm like, all right, let's do this for a second. So everyone pull out their calculator. All right, so it's going to cost us $4 a year. In fact, inflation with 80% inflation, or 8% inflation, not 80%, 8. I'm like, let's say it's double that. Let's say it's $8 a year. $8 a year for 7 years is going to cost you a combined total of $50 to $60. Okay. You're the one reaching out to them nonstop, top of mind. You know when their anniversaries are, you know when their birthdays are. So when you're reaching out to them every quarter, you have kind of that in there, some personalized notes. When they're ready to buy their next house, when they're ready to get their next car, who are they coming to? They're coming back to the person that's been reaching out to them in personalized ways for the last couple of years. So you invested $56 to go get another couple $100,000. Is that a good trade-off? Yes. Reach out to your clients, your customers every quarter, at least one time a quarter. So this business had an average transaction every year of 2. So we had 1,000 customers spending money twice a year with this business. Average sale was $100. Now, average sales strategies here, I'll give you an example. So McDonald's became infamous for their average dollar sale strategy. At the end of every order, they would ask you, would you like fries with that? Now it's, would you like to supersize or upsize it? There's simple average dollar sale strategies. So this business had $100 as their average sale, which gave them 1,000 people spending money twice a year, $100 each time, gave them $200,000 in top line revenue. Then we looked at their profit margins, their net profit margins. They had 25% there, which gave them a profit of $50,000. Okay. Again, these numbers were kind of rounded off just to make the math easier for you. with that said, and by the way, if you're, as an example, if you had $1,000 average sale, the math still kind of moves forward. It would be a $2 million business with 500,000 in profit. So depending on your average sale, you can kind of look at this and go, well, my average sale's high. Great. If you're doing the math for yourself, you're going to put $1,000 as your average sale. That's a $2 million business with 500,000 in profit with these numbers. Okay. So what's interesting though is if you look at these, what is the one commonality that customers' revenue and profit have in the formula? So if you look at vertically, this is a formula. And other than the fact that they're all red in color, what's the commonality between customers' revenue profit? They all follow the same thing. They all follow an equal sign. They are the results of other things, which is why the ones in blue are the most important. I do not care how many customers you have. I do not care what your revenue is. I do not care. Well, I do care what your profit is. However, I can't just go directly influence it. I have to go look at these 5 in blue to influence those numbers, to increase them. So what happens when we do? So let's take a look. So number of leads. We're going to look, and for the purpose of this, we're going to do a 10% increase, okay? Now, you may look at this and go, okay, how many leads do I have in the last year? If we focus on 1 or 2 strategies and leads. So if we focused in on actually having a proper marketing plan, where I'll give you an example here. So I was working with a dog training company, and he sat in front of me. He's like, Facebook ads do not work for me. I'm like, all right, I get that they're not working for you. Let's find out if they actually don't work for you. Show me what you got going on. So he brings it up. $1,000 a month is what he's putting towards Facebook ads and getting nothing from it. I go, well, who's your target? He kind of walked me through. I'm like, none of that is shown here. So how about we do this? Come up with the 10 breeds of dogs that you love to train most. Your A grade clients, the type of dogs that you love to train the most, give me the 10. So he does that. Great. We're going to take that $1,000 that you've been investing, and we're going to divvy that up into 10 $100 ads. So, the golden doodle. He loved training golden doodles. Great. So instead of having one ad that's about general dogs and training it, it's now, here are the 3 things. Click here to find the 3 things you need to know about training your golden doodle. Guess what? If you owned a golden doodle, you're clicking on that ad because it's speaking specifically to you. So much marketing doesn't work because it's not actually specific. So we got to get specific. So we actually have strategies that are going to help increase your leads, and we're going to start by getting more specific. Our definition of a marketing plan is 10 strategies, each bringing in 10% of the leads, versus just having 2 strategies that you got going on right now. And there's 3 buckets of lead generation. We have digital, we have direct, and we have community. So digital, things like Facebook ads, LinkedIn, those type of things, Instagram, email marketing. Direct are like cold calling or knocking on doors, being direct, LinkedIn direct messages. And then we have community, which is things like networking and strategic partners and whatnot. So you have 3 different buckets, and you got to have an understanding of what are the right strategies to increase your leads. So we focused on increasing leads by 10%. I guarantee with the right focus on 1 or 2 strategies, we can increase your leads by 10% as well. So for this business, it went 10% increase goes to 4,400, right? Just an extra 400 leads for the whole year. It's really not that much. Then we focus on conversion rate. First thing we got to do in conversion rate is make sure you have scripts. We got to know that you're using the same script over and over and over again. It's been tested and measured to make sure that it actually works consistently to where anyone can use the script and it gets you the same results, or very similar at least. We got to know, how are we communicating with people? How are we handling objections? All of that, okay? So we put in place 1 or 2 strategies in conversion rate. By the way, our definition of sales is professionally helping other people make purchases, professionally helping people buy. That's what conversion rate does. You're professionally helping them make a purchase with you. And through some basic scripting and maybe even a little bit of sales training. We have a whole 12-week course just on sales training for that purpose, because most salespeople don't actually understand there's a process to follow, and we go through that. So we focus on 1 or 2 strategies in conversion rate, increase that by 10% over the next year, okay? So that goes from 25%, not to 35%, it's just a 10% increase. So we were at 27.5%, right? We're increasing it by 2.5%. So a few strategies on leads, increase it by 10%. A few strategies on conversion rate, increase by 10%. What does that do for our customers now? Well, it now gives us 1,210 customers, which, by the way, is not a 10% increase. So we did incremental shifts in leads and conversion rate, and it actually gave us a 21% increase in customers. Kind of cool. Then we get to number of transactions. And again, just by following up every quarter, you may be able to increase your number of transactions by a percent, 5%, something like that. We're going to go identify at least one or two other strategies to increase repeat business. And we're going to look to increase this by 10%. So we go from 2 to 2.2, right? 1 out of every 3 make another purchase. 1 out of every 10 make a third purchase, something like that. Increase repeat business by 10%. Then we're looking at average sale. I gave you the McDonald's example. I'll give you one more. So I was downtown Austin. I was coaching the flagship store for Office Depot downtown. And I was in there and I saw someone walk in. They bought a desk. They bought an office desk. And they left. I was like, hey, did they buy a desk? Like, yeah, they bought that. I was like, cool. What else did they buy? Oh, they didn't buy anything else. Okay. So when someone's buying a desk, what are the other things they may need? Well, they may need paper, a mat, a chair, pens, pencils, dividers, all sorts of stuff, folders. Why don't we do this? Let's create a checklist, kind of like the Amazon "You May Also Like" button, which, is there for a reason. And every time someone buys a desk, you're now going to put this list in front of them and you're going to go, other customers when buying a desk have also needed these things. Key thing here, which of them do you happen to also need today? Not do you need some of them, which of them do you happen to also need today? Instantly increase average sale. There's a reason why Amazon has the "You May Like" button. They know it works. We know it works. So the key thing here is that we're focusing on increasing your average sale. For some, you'll be able to get 10%. For others, you'll be able to get 50%. It just depends. If I go back up, when we focus on this with clients, we had a client whose conversion rate was 13%. And it was 2 problems. It was crappy leads from marketing and horrible systems in conversion. So we went and fixed the marketing. We fixed the scripting. And within 4 months, conversion rate was up to 50%. From 13% up to 50%. That was way more than a 10% increase. Average sale, same thing. Our spa client. Well, I was like, so what's the scripting and salon client? Both of them. I was like, what's the scripting that your team is using while they're conducting the service of the business that's preparing your customers to make another purchase? What do you mean? Well, if I'm sitting here and you're doing my hair, you ought to be talking about different things that would make my hair look amazing every single day of the week. There ought to be specific points that I know at minute 10, I'm saying this, at minute 15, I'm saying this, at minute 30, I'm saying this. So by the time I'm walking you back to the front desk, you're ready for 2 things. 1, scheduling your next appointment, and 2, what are you buying from our retail part today? Simple little things, but you got to script them out. You got to test and measure to make sure they actually work. They can't just be ad hoc. And for those that have team, for those that are here and you actually have a team, find the one person on your team. We had a lash lounge. We did this with them. It's like, find the one person on your team that is the best at this, and then record them. Have them actually record audio of them doing it, so that way you can now use that in training the rest of your team. For oftentimes, it's going to be you, the owner, that are best at it. So you're going to record yourself doing it, and then you're going to go use that for the training. So increase average sale by 10%. We go from 100 to 110. Do you think that if someone's already spending $100 with you, you could get them to spend an extra 10? Yeah, pretty easily. Again, if your average sale is larger and it's 1,000, it would be 1,100, right? From 1,000 to 1,100. And if they're already spending 1,000, you could probably get them to spend an extra 100 pretty easily. 10% increase. For some, you'll be able to get way more than a 10%. Now, here's the cool thing. Again, this is why this is the one thing I want you getting out today is the business chassis here is we increase our customers by 21% by the first 2. Now we add in these next 2 and it takes our revenue from 200,000 to 292,800. That's a 46% increase in revenue. I don't think I've ever met a single business owner that would be like, you know what? I don't want a 46% increase in revenue. Here's how you get there. You focus on these 4 areas. Now, profit is the ultimate place that we're getting to because cash is king and profit allows us to increase cash. So we do the same thing in margins. And we look at your profit margin. We go, what are 1 or 2 strategies that we can put in place that are going to increase your profit margins? By the way, if you haven't increased your prices in the last 12 months, that's an action item from today's class. You're leaving here today, you're going to go increase your prices, and congratulations, we just made you money. Because if you haven't increased your prices in the last 12 months, your expenses have definitely gone up. We know that with inflation and things like that. For some businesses, it's every 6 months they need to increase their prices. We have one client. So it was in the pet industry and grooming. And when she started with us, her business did $2,500 the entire year in 2017. 2017, her entire business did $2,500. So she starts with us in 2018, and it's a relatively small new business. And we're focusing on these 5 different areas and increasing it. She realized when she put a guarantee in place, she's like, Dr. Hartley, I just realized as I was going through this, I'm the only person in my entire industry here in Central Texas that has a guarantee. I'm like, that's amazing. Don't you think that's going to help you get more business? She said, yes. And we're focusing on the leads and conversion, all these different areas. And by the end of 2021, so she started with us in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Took her 4 years. She went from 2,500 in total for a year in business to hitting 7 figures. She was able in 4 years' time to create herself $1 million organization, and then she exited it. And she's like, and now she's a stay-at-home mom. She exited her business. She sold it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, when you know how to build a business, when you have the structure and the methodology, and you have someone holding you accountable to actually doing it, you get the results. And when you look at, and so we were focusing on her profits. And I was like, well, we need to increase your prices, right? And I'm like, look, I also like to work with winners personally. I like to coach winners. And I'm like, if you don't want to be the best in your industry, I don't think I'm very interested in coaching you. I'm like, so what are we going to do? She goes, okay, I want to be the best then. Great. Let's go focus on it. She literally went through a process over the course of about 6 months. Every month she was increasing her prices. I was like, because here's the deal. Her conversion rate, we had got that really high. It was over 80%. We want 1 out of every 5 to tell you you're too expensive. That's when you know you're properly priced, is when 1 out of every 5 tells you you're just too expensive for me. Perfect. Her conversion rate was consistently over 80. I was like, we're going to keep increasing your prices until we get your conversion rate less than 80%. 6 months of just consistently increasing prices until we finally hit that threshold. It was awesome. And every single time we're increasing her margins because her expenses don't change. We're just making more money as a business now. And if you're going to be the best at what you do, which, by the way, if you're opening a business and you don't want to be the best at what you do, why are you doing it? You ought to want to be the best at what you do, which means that you should be priced adequately, which means you should be priced towards the top spectrum of what your competition is doing. That allows us to then increase profit by at least 10%, going again to 27.5%, which gets us to profit. And if you look at here, that is a 61% increase in profit. Let that sink in for a second. When you focus in on these 5 areas, these 5 ways to increase your profit, minimum in the next year, you can increase your profit by over 60%. It's that straightforward. Again, you have to be willing to do the work or hire people to do the work and actually manage them towards it. As long as you're willing to do that, your business can increase. And that's how we got her business in 4 years' time from a couple $1,000s to over $1 million. It's how we get businesses to work without the owners within 3 to 5 years. Because we know the process. And when you follow it, you get the same results. So, question for you. Oops. What would you do with an extra 300 hours in your year, what would you do with an extra $30,000 in profit? You see, I told you the first thing we work with owners on is their time. And the second thing we work with them on is their money. So what would you do when we work with you on properly allocating your time and you get an extra $300 hours a year? What would you do when we increase your profit from wherever it's at today and we add at least 30 grand in profit over the next year? What would you do when you're able to increase your numbers in such a healthy way? What would you do with that? Again, it goes back to destination mastery. Where are you building your business? I've worked with plenty of businesses that don't really want to scale. They want to get to a point and then they want to sell. Great. You're going to sell to someone and they're going to go scale. I've worked with others that are like, yeah, I want like 10 locations. I want to be in 4 different countries. Phenomenal. You're going to scale it yourself. And so what they do with their money is they take some of it and they put it into the growth of the business. What are you going to do it with yours? Because I'm giving you the formula. I'm giving it to you. You guys got to go do the work. So what are you going to do when you see these increases? Beyond that, I'll give you an example. So I gave you an example of lead generation before. This business had ineffective marketing. We just said, you know what? All we're going to do is just test and measure. It's fascinating. Just by testing and measuring, things will increase because you're actually focused on it. It's fascinating how that works. Just by testing and measuring, we increased their qualified leads by over 500%. What gets measured gets done more effectively. What gets measured can be managed. What gets managed can be done consistently more effectively. So, oh, there it is right there. What gets measured gets done consistently and improves. I thought my TV ad was awesome, but after knowing the numbers, I had to let it go. I don't miss that $13,000 bill. I've had so many people come to me when we go through this process, and I'm like, so you're in this networking event. How much business is it making you? Oh, I get, and they'll walk me through it. I'm like, all right, show me the numbers. Show me the actual numbers. And for some, like certain networking events or groups, make them bank. Perfect. Great ROI on your time and your money. Others are a complete waste of time. I've had so many people, when we actually go through this, identify at least 1 or 2 networking groups that they're a part of that they just have to leave. It's not making you money. And we could take that time and put it towards something really easily that can. So we got to know where your time and money is going, and is it giving you an ROI on your marketing? Next example, conversion rate. Sole proprietor, right? So they're the technician in the business, poor leads, conversion rate less than 10%. Now, several aspects of marketing in place, generating qualified leads, which is great, and conversion rate up to 80%. That's ultimately where we want your conversion rate to be. Every industry can get to the point where your conversion rate is 70 to 80%. We got to know how, but it just mattered. Like I said earlier, most marketing isn't qualified enough. It's not specific enough. The target isn't defined enough. And so you got to put that in place first. Because if we don't have the targeting done, we're not going to get the marketing to give us the proper quality of leads. After 8 years, I now know my practice is growing in so many ways, and it's because I have, I have the best coach on the planet. Our clients say nice things about us. Really, though, I'm going to be honest with you. And I say this to them too. They love us as coaches and whatnot. It has nothing to do with our coaches. It has everything to do with our system. We get praise all the time. And I'm like, look, I appreciate it. With that said, though, it's the system that does the legwork. We just happen to have the single best system in building a business. There's a group called EOS. That whole dyslexic thing kicks in. They are a subset of what we do. So EOS, their system itself is like 10% of our overall system. It's a phenomenal system, by the way. And we've coached people through it and whatnot. And they go, okay, now we're done, right? I'm like, no, that's 10%. We got a lot more to go. And we walk them to it like, oh, yeah, I see that now. You see, our system is the best in the world. It's why we're able to be in 84 countries. It's why we're able to have over 280,000 business owners today working with our teams globally every single week, because we have the formula and it works. So as Warren Buffett says, it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. 10% increases in these 5 areas will give you the results you're looking for. Congratulations. We are now past the first 2 steps of building a business. What we want to do now is we want to focus on step 3. So we've reduced chaos. We've increased profitability. Now we're going to go focus on leverage. And these first two areas, especially going into a recession, you have to get those two locked in. Chances are we are hitting a recession in the next little bit. And when you get mastery and niche locked in, your business is prepared. There's cycles of the economy, right? We're coming out of a summer. We're in fall right now. We're going to hit winter. It's inevitable. And it's okay, right? We know why it's going to happen because we put trillions of dollars into the economy, and with like no real way to get it back and things like that. So we know why we're going to hit it and whatnot. With that said, though, I want specifically for your business to be prepared. So get mastery and niche done first before we ever get to step 3, which is creating a commercial, profitable enterprise that works. So leverage, the systems wing of the business, is now creating a business that can work. Leverage is all about systems, saving yourself time, energy, and money. And when we look at saving yourself time, energy, and money, it's about creating consistency. That's why I told you earlier, we coach through a systems-based approach. We teach through a systems-based approach. The book Instant Systems goes through these 9 areas that we focus on first, and then we're going to go focus on those 4 buckets I kind of showed you at the beginning of the webinar. So vision is the first thing. We got to know where we're going. Destination mastery. What's the vision of the business? And by definition, your vision statement ought to be a 100-year goal in 10 words or less. 100-year goal, 10 words or less. Something that you probably will never see come to fruition, and the person you sell your business to will. What's that 100-year goal in 10 words or less? Where are you taking it? Ours is world abundance through business re-education. We are a business education firm that happens to do coaching, right? The large majority of what we do is things like this. The large majority of what we do is teaching, because an educated business owner can actually go do something properly. And lots of books and things like that are out there that can teach good things. We're going to teach you exactly what to focus on. So vision. Then we get to mission. So if vision is kind of like the Emerald City, mission is the yellow brick road on how to get there. It's normally going to be a couple paragraphs on how we're going to go accomplish the vision. From there, we then go internally within the business and we look at points of culture, your culture statement. So vision's where we're going, mission's how we're going to get there. Culture is how we're going to operate internally in this process. Now, once we have those 3 done, we're going to then go focus on SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, results focused, with a time frame. SMART. And every goal has to be a SMART goal. If you've never read the book Measure What Matters, phenomenal book, he goes through what's called OKRs, objectives, key results. So you have objectives for the business for the year. You have milestones or key results for each objective. Then we're going to go create SMART goals for each of the key results. And then we're going to guide you through a quarterly plan every single 90 days to have a week-by-week plan to accomplish those goals, which then lead to the key results, which then lead to the objectives. There's a process, again, in planning to build your business properly. Once we have SMART goals, we're then going to go create the org chart. And I told you earlier, when people start with this, one of the first questions we ask is, when will your business be complete? Well, guess what? We got into the org chart. We got to have clarity on what are all the positions we're going to have. How many people in each position? What are we paying those positions? What are their KPIs, which are put into the positional contracts? So what happens is we create the org chart. From there, we're going to create positional contracts, which is the agreement that the employee signs to take over that position. And within it are the KPIs, the key performance indicators. Here are the things that help me know how to be successful in my position. From KPIs, we're going to get to number 8, which is how-to systems. Most people think of systems when they go, oh yeah, we're going to go focus on systems. They start with number 8. No. It's number 8 for a reason. We got to get these other ones done first. Then we get to how-to systems. And then ultimately, before we get to the next step of building a business, that then gives us system number 9, which is going to be you and your management systems. This is why we have a 12-week course on, we have a management masterclass. There's a process to management. Leadership is about creating passionate individuals around your vision and the purpose of the business and those type of things. Being a good leader is getting your team on board with why you do what you do and where you're going. Management is about creating productive and efficient individuals. And that's a process. Leadership is an art form. Management is a skill set. It's a process. And so we teach the actual process to management because we got to have a management system in place. Now we can go focus on those other 4 buckets to create leverage in the organization. Now we've reduced chaos, we've increased profitability, we've got efficiency in the business increased. Now we can go focus on hiring team to have a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. This is the step that prepares you to scale or exit your business. But the thing is most people have to get team before their business is ready to have team. That's understandable. With that said, though, when you go step 1 to 2, 2 to 3, now step 3 to 4, when you get those other ones in place, now this step is preparing your business to exit or scale, or both. So let's think about your team for a moment. Most employees are motivated, energetic, committed, enthusiastic, and loyal, except for the 8 hours a day they work for you. So Tom Peters, I love this quote. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of right. Like they have all sorts of hobbies and passions. And when we don't treat our teams properly, when we don't have them in the right seat, they're going to be motivated, energetic, committed, enthusiastic, and loyal, except for the 8 hours they're with you. Well, we want to flip that on its head, which is also why most companies have the wrong recruitment system. You're think of this like sports for a second. So you pick your favorite sport. I don't care what it is. For me, the sport, I can pretty much watch any sport, especially live, and have a great time. At the top of the list, though, is probably going to be basketball and football and hockey. I freaking love hockey. When teams are looking to recruit for their team, who are they looking for? They're not looking for the players that don't have a job. They're oftentimes not looking for the players that sit the bench. You want to be the best. Again, if you're going to build a business, you ought to be wanting to be the best in your industry, in your area. If you're going to do that, you got to be like the sports teams. They recruit the starters. They're going to go get the starters from other teams and bring them into their organization. Your best employees already have jobs today. Your future best employees are not on the bench. They already have a job and they're looking for a better place to be. Most companies have the wrong focus in recruitment systems. So wherever you're taking notes, I want you to draw like a T, right? So line vertical, line horizontal, and put team at the top. So you got the T right here, you're going to put team. Now, on the T, on the left-hand side of it, I want you to think about a person or a few people that you hated working with. Don't put their name. Their name is irrelevant for this. I want you to put why you hated working with them. Take a minute, write down think about the people that you're like, oh man, I could not stand working with this person or these people. Put the reasons why. Like what caused you to really hate working? So that goes on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, now I want you to think about someone who you love working with. Again, name doesn't matter. Think about 1 or 2 people who you absolutely love working with. And now on the right-hand side, you're going to put all the reasons why you love working with them. Take a moment, write them out. When we do this with folks, it's fascinating because 90+%, most of the time, 100% of both lists, there's one thing omitted in both of the lists, which is skill set. Why we love or hate working with people has nothing to do with their skill, has everything to do with them as a human being. You see, as a business owner, my job is not to teach you how to be a great person, how to be diligent, how to be happy, how to fill in the blank. I want to recruit people who already bring the characteristics and the culture to the business. I can teach you skill set all day long. I'm going to have, again, going back to the 6 steps that we're building a business through, the previous step before we got to team was systems. The reason why it's there is because we can teach skill set because it was just created. The system for it was already created. The training for it in this previous step was already created. I'm going to go find people who fit our culture, who fit the type of individual I want on my team that I love working with all day long, great employees. I'm going to go hire those folks, and then I'm going to give them the systems that teach how to actually go do the skill set wherever that's needed to increase. This is why we build in a structured way. Because your job as the owner is to take care of the team. The team then takes care of the customers, and the customers take care of the business by coming back over and over again. So that way the business can take care of the owner. That's what we do. We help you understand how to go get the best team. So that way they take care of the customers and you're no longer having to. You're no longer the technician in the business doing the work. So that way you can then have a business that's running without you. There are 6 keys to a winning team. I like to add a 7th. I'll walk you through that one here in a moment. So 6 keys to a winning team. First one, strong leadership. You got to be a strong leader. You got to have a common goal. Everyone on the team has to know what is the goal the business is striving to go hit. The third one is rules of the game. What are the rules of the game that I, in my position, going back to positional contracts, where's the rules of the game for me? Because once I know where out of bounds is, again, think of it like a football field, right? Once I know where the out of bounds or a basketball court, once I know where those are, then I know the boundaries. I can create an action plan, or oftentimes, we're going to help you create an action plan. And as a business owner, you're now supposed to support their risk-taking within the rules of the game. Ultimately getting to where you have 100% involvement and inclusion. I'll give you an example on this last one, the 6th one. So Lexus was a client. They're Japanese run. And I learned this from the Japanese, which was 2 things I learned from the Japanese. The first one is the term Kaizen, which is never-ending constant improvement, which is what we all must be striving for, because the second law of thermonuclear dynamics states that we grow or we die, right? So a tree is growing or it's dying. There's no stagnant status of a tree. Same thing with you and your business. You're either growing or you're dying. There's no stagnant part of a business. So the Japanese, I learned Kaizen from them. And the second one was when the CEO of the Americas from Japan for Lexus and Toyota, when they're going to make a massive change to the business, they go to the lowest manager that will be affected by it and ask for a pros and cons list. And then that pros and cons list grows because they go every step back up, and it grows and grows and grows until they get back to the CEO. So they go every rung up the ladder back up to the CEO. And what's cool is then the CEO can look at this and go, here are my pros and my cons. Now, ultimately, it's still my decision. I've got involvement and inclusion from my team. Those are the 2 biggest lessons I learned from having Lexus as a client, which was kind of cool. Now, the 7th key to a winning team is kind of on the Kaizen path, which is personal development, constant personal development. What's the one book you're listening to this month? What's the one area in these 6 steps that you need to go focus on? And that's the first book you're going to go read. By the way, we have books on all these, so if you're interested, just let us know. We can sell them to you. It's like $35 a book. With that said, though, what's the one book you ought to be focused on learning this month? What's the one course you need to go take to make your business better this month? Winning teams know how to get the right people on the bus in the right seat. It's not just about having the right people on the team. It's having them in the right seat and knowing, going back to the org chart, when the right time is to actually hire them. Which then gets us to the results in synergy, the duplication, the scalability of your business. Because synergy and results equal growth and freedom. This is where you can start to have passive income. This is where you can start going, you know what, I want to go open up 2 more locations, or I want to go open up a completely different business. Or you know what, I'm going to take some of this, I'm going to go buy some real estate and get passive income through them as well. Or you know what I'm going to do, whatever that is. For some of you, you love doing the job of the business, and that's okay. The key is your options when you're still focused on just mastery is you have to work in the business. Once you have a business an asset that can work without you, it's worth way more. So when you decide to exit, because all of us are going to exit our business, every single one of us, whether you choose to or life chooses for you, you're exiting your business. So the key is you build a business that can work without you, so that way you can choose when you want to work in it. And you can choose, you know what? I want to go take 6 months vacation. I want to go take 6 months a year, every other month. Every other month, I'm going to take vacation. How freaking awesome is life? Well, the first time I walked into one of my mentors' houses, he had invited me over. He lives in Vegas. And I walk in, and the first thing you see when you enter into his house are 2 flanking 40-foot waterfalls on the inside of his house. And they go 3 stories. So they're like, 30, 40 feet in length, and they go 3 stories on the house. And I'm like, who has a waterfall in their house? He goes, rich people. Like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, man, you see, and that's the life he's chosen. That doesn't have to be the one you choose. The key is that you have the options to. You can create, you can design the life that you want to. Because at the end of life, when we reach the end of life, do you want to be there in a life that dictated it for you, or that one that you designed for yourself? I can tell you, for me, when I get to that point in life, I want to be able to look back and go, I designed this for myself. And I had a whole lot of fun along the way. Now, I told you I wanted to reward your time investment by dedicating some time today. So once you get to that point, then you put in place a general manager, and your business is now on autopilot, which is really fun. Richard Branson, if you can learn to run one business successfully, there's no reason you can't run any number of businesses the same way. The principles are always still the same. Jim Rohn, by the way, Jim Rohn, if you've never heard of him, he's one of the best thought leaders in business ever. He passed away a handful of years ago now. He stated, never wish your life were easier. Wish that you were better. Work harder on yourself than you do your job. When you work harder on yourself than you do as the job of the business, your business will do some fun things. 2 directions you can go. I'm going to go and try to improve my business on my own, or I'm interested in getting massive results. So let's talk about the offer I have for you, because I'm going to give you something for free. You were here, you dedicated your time with me today. I'm going to give you one more thing for free, which is, by working with a certified business coach, you can learn how to increase cash flow and profit and team and free time and all those kind of fun things that we've gone through. And we are primarily a business education firm. So no matter how tough you think you are, you can't do this alone. You see, when you have groups of peers around you and whatnot, it allows you to build better, build faster, which is why we created an entrepreneur community. We call it Entrepreneur Membership. It's once a month where business owners all come together, and it's a half a day. And it's kind of cool because we go through more teachings like this in detail. 4 times a year, we help all of our members plan their next quarter, their 13-week plan. And the community that happens is really cool, because statistically, business ownership is the 2nd loneliest job in the world. It has the 2nd highest suicide rate in our country, which is really pathetic and really sad. And so what we did is we created an entrepreneur community of a whole bunch of people that come together and have each other's back and are going through similar things. And you're no longer, feeling like you're doing this alone. So I can guarantee in 12 months, you will arrive. The question is, where? You're going to be burned out, or are you going to be able to look back at the last 12 months and go, I have made major strides in mastery or niche or leverage or team to get my business to where it can start to run without me and scale. So we're going to give you a try before you buy. We have 3 different 12-week courses, and we're going to give you the opportunity to try one of them for free. So we have one that's on sales. We have a sales masterclass. We have one that's on management. We have a 12-week management masterclass. And then we have the founders one, which is all about, it goes into a lot of what we went through today in far more detail. We take each one of the 6 steps and we do an entire session on just that one. It's 12 to 14. Actually, that one is 14 weeks. It's meant to be 12, and we kind of add 2 bonus ones in there. So we have these 3 courses, and you can see the links there to go get more information on them, because ultimately, by being here today, we're going to let you just simply go, you know what? I'd like a little more learning. We're not going to ask you for your credit card. We're not going to ask you for signing up today. We're just going to say, you know what? If you need better sales, step into our sales one for a session. If you need better management, step into that one for a session. If you're a brand new business owner and you're a founder, you need fundamental foundational knowledge on just simply how to build and structure your business, step into that one. And we're going to let you sit in, we call it auditing the session, right? So you get to audit a masterclass, one of the sessions for free. And if you decide after that you want to join, phenomenal. That's your choice. You don't have to. For those that do, though, they're going to, because I can tell you right now, these are 3 of the most important classes any business owner can go through. The fundamentals of business, how to increase your sales, and then ultimately how to manage your team. So to do that, all you got to do, I'll give you a sheet. So the founders one, these are some of the examples, right? Your vision, cash flow, sales made simple, team building and leadership, systems in the business, kind of going through the 6 steps in more detail, pulling it all together again. It's a whole 12 to 14 week course. And you'll see some of that on the links that I kind of put before. So all you got to do is scan this. The quality of your mentor determines the quality of your life. I've had the opportunity to build a $200 million organization. I've had the opportunity to build multiple 7-figure organizations. I'm very fortunate to have had the mentors I've had because they've guided me on how to do it. And we're here to do that for you, or at least for a moment. So take action, audit one of these masterclasses. You can scan the QR code, or you can just go to this link right here, actioncoach.com, ActionCOACH Central Texas TX.com/audit class. And all you got to do is essentially just tell us. It asks for your name and email. You hit submit. Our team will review it, and then they're going to reach out to you and go, hey, awesome. Which of these 3 do you want to audit? And as soon as you say, I want this one, that one, whatever one of the 3 you want to audit, they'll give you the date for the next session and get you added to the calendar invite. You get to audit it, sit in on one of the courses, learn a little bit of stuff. And we've helped take you one step further in your business growth. So scan the QR code or go to ActionCOACHCentralTX.com/audit class to take advantage of the offer as it stands today. Where you'll be in 5 years will depend on the books you read, the people you associate with, and the actions you take. My goal for you is that you prescribe where you want to be 5 years from now. My goal is that you learn the things that are going to be specifically, intentionally beneficial for your business today. Because without intentionality, it's just wherever the wind blows, it's throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's not beneficial for anybody. It's definitely not beneficial for your profitability, your time, your sanity, all of those type of things. We have the process that can get you there. And by the way, if you're interested, if you're like, you know what, I'd actually like information on that entrepreneur membership side, our team can get you information about that too. So even if you just go to the audit class page, throw your information in there, our team will reach out to you and be like, hey, I'm interested in that. They'll get you the information for that as well. So that way you can kind of see what it's like to be part of an entrepreneur community who's there to have each other's back. Because at the end of the day, where you'll be in 5 years depends on the books you read, the people you associate with, and the actions you take. My goal is that you start to take definitive action today. I'm Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm here to elevate your business and enhance your lifestyle. Make it a good one.